The new truth about creatine. After 50. What if everything you've been told about creatine after 50 is missing the most important part of the story? For decades, creatine was often associated with bodybuilders, competitive athletes, and younger gym-goers looking to build bigger muscles and improve performance. As a result, many adults over 50 assumed it wasn't relevant to them. But that's changing fast. Today, more people over 50 are exploring creatine than ever before, and not because they're trying to become bodybuilders. They're interested in staying strong, maintaining muscle, supporting physical function, and preserving their independence as they age. And that's where the conversation gets interesting. The modern view of creatine has shifted beyond appearance. It's becoming less about looking younger and more about moving better, staying active, and maintaining quality of life for years to come. Yet, despite its growing popularity, confusion still surrounds this supplement. Some people think it's only for athletes, others worry it's unsafe, and many simply don't understand what creatine can and cannot do. The truth is far more interesting than the myths. In today's video, we're uncovering the new truth about creatine after 50, including 8 surprising facts that may completely change the way you think about this widely used supplement. Some of these truths are encouraging, some are unexpected, and a few might challenge what you've believed for years. But before we begin, drop your name and the city you're watching from in the comments below. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. Creatine is no longer just for bodybuilders. Have you ever heard the word creatine and immediately pictured young athletes, bodybuilders, or people spending hours in the gym? If so, you're definitely not alone. For many years, creatine was closely linked to muscle magazines, weight rooms, and competitive sports. Because of that, countless adults over 50 assumed it wasn't something they needed to think about. But times have changed. Today, a growing number of people over 50 are taking a fresh look at creatine, and for a very different reason. They're not trying to build massive muscles, they're not preparing for bodybuilding competitions, and they're not chasing unrealistic fitness goals. Instead, they're focused on something much more important: maintaining strength, preserving muscle, supporting healthy aging, and staying active for as long as possible. Why does that matter? Because as we age, muscle mass and strength naturally tend to decline. Everyday activities that once felt effortless can gradually become more challenging if we don't take steps to stay strong and active. That's why the conversation around creatine is evolving. It's no longer just about athletic performance, it's increasingly about supporting mobility, independence, and quality of life. In other words, the question isn't, can creatine help me build bigger muscles? The more important question may be, can creatine help me stay stronger and more active as I get older? And that's a conversation worth having. Number 2. Muscle loss after 50 is more serious than most people realize. Here's a reality that doesn't get nearly enough attention. Most people don't wake up one morning and suddenly notice they've lost muscle. It happens slowly, year by year, little by little, and that's exactly why it's so easy to overlook. As we get older, our bodies naturally tend to lose muscle mass and strength. Because the changes are gradual, many people don't notice what's happening until everyday activities start feeling more difficult than they used to. Maybe climbing stairs takes a little more effort, maybe carrying groceries feels heavier, maybe getting up from a chair isn't quite as easy as it once was. These small changes may seem insignificant at first, but over time, they can have a major impact on balance, mobility, energy levels, and overall independence. That's why maintaining muscle becomes increasingly important after 50. In fact, many health experts now view muscle as one of the most valuable assets we can protect as we age. And this is where the conversation around creatine has changed. The old view was all about building bigger muscles. The newer perspective is often about preserving strength and muscle function for the future. Many adults over 50 aren't taking creatine because they want to look like bodybuilders. They're taking it because they want to stay active. They want to keep doing the things they enjoy. They want to maintain their mobility, confidence, and independence for as long as possible. In other words, the goal isn't always to build more muscle. Sometimes the goal is simply to hold on to the strength and physical ability you already have. And honestly, that may be one of the smartest reasons to think about muscle health in the first place. Number 3. Strength matters more than appearance. What if the most important benefit of creatine has nothing to do with what you see in the mirror? For much of our lives, it's easy to focus on appearance. We think about muscle size, body weight, and how we look in photos. But after 50, something interesting often happens. The conversation starts to shift. Strength becomes more important than appearance, because real-life strength affects everyday life in ways that many people don't fully appreciate until they begin to lose it. Think about the simple things we often take for granted. Carrying groceries from the car, walking up a flight of stairs without feeling exhausted, playing with grandchildren, lifting luggage, getting up from a chair comfortably, and staying active throughout the day. These aren't athletic achievements. They're everyday activities that help us maintain independence and quality of life. And they all depend heavily on muscle strength and muscle function. That's why many adults are beginning to view creatine differently. They're no longer asking, will this help me build bigger muscles? Instead, they're asking, will this help me stay strong, capable, and active as I get older? That's a very different question, and honestly, it's probably a more important one. Because while appearance can be motivating, maintaining the ability to move well, stay independent, and enjoy daily life may be one of the greatest benefits of preserving muscle health. And that's where many people begin seeing creatine in a completely new light. Not as a bodybuilding supplement, but as a tool that may help support a stronger, more active future. Number 4, the scale doesn't tell the whole story. Have you ever stepped on the scale, seen the number go up, and immediately assumed something had gone wrong? You're not alone. In fact, this is one of the most common reasons people become confused about creatine. One of the first changes some people notice after starting creatine is a small increase in body weight. Naturally, that can feel a little alarming, especially if you've been working hard to manage your weight. But here's the important detail that many people don't realize. The scale doesn't tell the whole story. Creatine helps muscles store more water inside the muscle cells. As a result, your body weight may increase slightly, even though your body fat hasn't changed at all. In other words, the number on the scale can go up while your body composition is staying the same or even improving. That's why focusing only on weight can be misleading. What's happening inside your muscles may be far more important than what the scale says. Your muscles may be becoming better hydrated, your workouts may be improving, your strength may be increasing, and your muscle function may be getting stronger. Yet none of those benefits are fully reflected by a single number. The new truth about creatine is that weight gain isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's simply a sign that your muscles are responding exactly the way they're supposed to. So before you panic over a few extra pounds, remember this. The scale measures weight. It doesn't measure strength, muscle function, performance, or progress, and sometimes the most important changes are the ones the scale can't see. Number 5, recovery becomes more important. Here's something many people don't fully appreciate until they reach their 50s or beyond. Recovery changes. When we're younger, it's often easier to push through a tough workout, spend an active weekend on our feet, and feel ready to go again the next day. But as we age, the recovery process tends to slow down. A workout that once left you sore for a day may now take several days to recover from. Even demanding everyday activities can leave you feeling more tired than they used to. And that's important because recovery isn't just about comfort, it's about consistency. When your body takes longer to bounce back, staying active becomes more challenging. You may skip workouts, avoid activities you enjoy, or simply move less because you're still recovering from the last effort. That's why many adults eventually discover that recovery is just as important as the workout itself. After all, the best exercise program in the world won't help much if you're too exhausted or sore to stick with it. This is one reason recovery has become such an important part of healthy aging. When your body recovers more efficiently, it's easier to stay active, maintain strength, and keep moving with confidence. And that's a benefit that often gets overlooked. People tend to focus on building muscle or increasing strength. But sometimes the real advantage is being able to recover well enough to keep showing up day after day. Because in the long run, consistency beats intensity almost every time. And better recovery can make consistency much easier to achieve. Number 6. Creatine isn't a magic solution. Now let's clear up one of the biggest misconceptions about creatine. Creatine is not a miracle supplement. And honestly, that's a good thing to understand from the very beginning. Some people hear all the success stories and start believing that adding a scoop of creatine to their daily routine will automatically transform their body, increase their strength, and solve all their fitness challenges. Then, a few weeks pass. Nothing dramatic happens, and they feel disappointed. The problem isn't that creatine failed. The problem is that their expectations were unrealistic. The truth is that creatine doesn't replace exercise. It doesn't replace healthy eating, it doesn't replace good sleep, and it certainly doesn't replace consistency. What creatine does is support those habits. Think of it like an assistant, not a replacement. If you're exercising regularly, eating well, staying active, and taking care of your recovery, creatine may help you get more out of those efforts. But if those foundations aren't in place, even the best supplement in the world can only do so much. That's the new truth many people are discovering. Creatine works best as part of a healthy lifestyle, not as a substitute for one. The people who see the greatest benefits are usually the people who combine it with movement, good nutrition, proper hydration, and realistic expectations. In other words, creatine isn't the entire solution. It's one piece of the puzzle, a useful piece, a well-researched piece, but still just one piece. And when it's combined with strong daily habits, that's when the real magic, not miracle, begins to happen. Number 7. Many side effects are actually misunderstandings. Did you know that some of the most feared creatine side effects often aren't what people think they are? This is where a lot of confusion begins. Someone steps on the scale and notices they've gained a few pounds. Immediately, they assume they're gaining fat. But in many cases, what's actually happening is that their muscles are storing more water, a normal effect of creatine that can help support muscle function and performance. Others start experiencing headaches and blame the supplement. Yet the real issue may be something much simpler. They're not drinking enough water to match their body's increased hydration needs. Then, there are people who experience bloating or digestive discomfort and conclude that creatine doesn't agree with them. But often, the problem isn't creatine itself. It's taking large doses too quickly or consuming more than their body comfortably handles at one time. The pattern is surprisingly common. People experience a normal adjustment, misunderstand what's happening, and assume the supplement is causing harm. As a result, they quit before they ever have a chance to experience the potential benefits. The truth is that understanding creatine is just as important as taking it. When you know what normal changes look like, you're much less likely to be caught off guard, and that's the key lesson. The problem isn't always the supplement. Often, it's misunderstanding the signals your body is sending. A little knowledge can prevent a lot of unnecessary worry, and in many cases, it can be the difference between giving up too soon and giving your body enough time to benefit from the process. Number 8. The real truth about creatine after 50. And finally, here's the biggest truth of all. After 50, creatine isn't really about building bigger muscles. At least, not for most people. The real value goes much deeper than appearance. It's about maintaining quality of life. It's about staying strong enough to carry your own groceries, climb stairs comfortably, travel, play with your grandchildren, and continue doing everyday activities without needing help from others. It's about preserving independence. It's about having the energy and physical ability to stay active and engaged in life. As we age, muscle strength and physical function naturally become more important, not because we want to look younger, but because we want to keep doing the things that matter to us. That's why many adults are looking at creatine through a completely different lens. They're not asking, will this make my arms bigger? They're asking, will this help me stay strong, capable, and active in the years ahead? And honestly, that's a much more meaningful goal, because while bigger muscles may be nice, the ability to move well, stay independent, and enjoy life on your own terms is priceless. That's the new truth about creatine after 50. Its greatest benefit may not be helping you look younger. It may be helping you maintain the strength, mobility, and confidence needed to keep doing the things you love for years to come. And when you think about it that way, creatine becomes much more than a fitness supplement. It becomes part of a bigger conversation about healthy aging, independence, and living life to the fullest. And that's a goal worth paying attention to. So, what's the new truth about creatine after 50? It's not just a supplement for athletes anymore. For many people, it's become part of a larger strategy for maintaining strength, mobility, recovery, and independence as they age. Of course, no supplement can replace healthy habits, but understanding what creatine can realistically do may help you make better decisions about your long-term health. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Are you currently taking creatine after 50, or have you been thinking about trying it? Let me know your experience or questions in the comments below, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more honest health and healthy aging content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.